Kneel Before Blog presents Kneel Before Pod.
Hello, and welcome to another edition of Kneel Before Pod. I'm your host Craig McKenzie, and for this episode we're trying something new by not talking about Star Trek. Instead, we're doing a podcast about the recent DC film Suicide Squad. A Suicide Squad cast, if you will. To do this, I scoured the globe for the worst criminals and villains I could find to help with this thankless task. And they were all busy. But thankfully, Kat was willing to put her dignity on the line to discuss this film. Hi Kat, thanks for coming on.
Hey, good to be here.
Since it's your first time on this podcast, how about you say a little bit about yourself and what you do so you can plug your own work?
So my name's Kat. I have a YouTube channel in place of a blog. It's called Cinescapist TV. And I do kind of vloggy type reviews where, I'll see a movie and then I'll talk about it. And I plan to have a lot of other content on there as well, like kind of chats with other people and retrospectives on actors or directors or like a genre, or I want to do a special on composers and film soundtracks and things like that. So quite a bit of geekery on film. So if your listeners are into that kind of stuff, hit me up on YouTube.
Cool. I'll be sure to leave your stuff in the show notes, and people can find you from there.
Thank you.
So we're here to talk about Suicide Squad, and you have just seen it, haven't you?
Yes, I literally just came out of the cinema like a couple of hours ago. Came home, made dinner, and tried to process this. Cause, it's something. I'll say that it's something. I don't know, we should probably leave the spoilers for later.
Yes.
But yeah, overall thoughts. What was that even?
That was essentially my reaction as well. I wasn't particularly fond of it. And my memory of it has faded over the past week since I saw it. So it's fairly forgettable, which may be the best thing that anybody could say about it.
Absolutely. I mean, frankly, I saw it 2 hours ago and I'm kind of not sure, what most of it was about. And the thing is that, I was quite interested in the premise because I didn't know any of the characters, before, not really. So I was okay, I can, I'm interested to find out more about them. But I don't feel like I know any of them any better now.
Yeah.
I'm not sure that, what are their powers? What is their backstory? What are they about? I don't know any of that. Yeah.
Yeah, a few of them turn up in the DC TV universe. You get Captain Boomerang and Deadshot on Arrow and Flash. And I think that's about it from that team, actually. But they're not allowed to use the Suicide Squad, apparently, because the films are going to use them.
Oh.
Yeah, so... Yeah.
Well then.
Nice job there, guys.
That's something I guess that we can talk about later. Maybe we can talk about it now. I don't know. What are structures? But the whole extended universe thing and how they're not doing it very well. And every one of their attempts to launch one is just not successful. It hasn't been successful now or with the whole TV thing. And just what are you doing, guys? What is that? What? Yeah, I don't know, but we can touch upon that later because I've got a few thoughts on the matter.
Yeah, and some of it will be spoilery as well.
Exactly. But yeah, I guess overall thoughts about the film, because the press has been really bad throughout. Initially reactions have been bad. There's been a whole, basically clash on the internet between critics and fans. And, that brings to question, the matter of who's a critic, who's a fan, the entitlement and having, an opinion that, if other people don't share your opinion, what does that mean for the overall, state of the industry? And just, like, yeah, like the internet has been aflame with that. And so I was like, okay, it's probably not going to be great. So I went in there, kind of reserved, but I was kind of expecting another Fantastic Four in that, like, Fantastic Four was okay for the first 2/3. It actually was pretty good. And then the last half hour was a hot mess that just, like, melted the rest of it, and, like, just, like, there wasn't anything to pull you back from that mess. But for Suicide Squad, I felt that the whole thing was equally messy. Like, there wasn't a particular moment that I felt, oh, okay, like, they're not pelting us with exposition right now. No, because they're pelting exposition at you, like, from minute one, like Amanda Waller, like, apparently, David Ayer had to fight tooth and nail to keep the beginning in as it was. And as I'm watching this, I'm like, this is what he fought so hard to keep? Yeah. This is what the studio wouldn't let him have? Like, okay, sure. And so, like, I think from that moment on, about, like, 10, 15 minutes in, I'm like, right, okay, I think this sets the scene and the mood and the tone and the pace. So I'm, and so I watched the rest of it kind of, frowning at it a lot.
It's interesting you brought up Fantastic Four. I mean, I didn't like that film at all, but the fascinating thing about that is I think it fails as an adaptation. I don't think they got any of it right, really. Whereas, at least on an aesthetic level, Suicide Squad does pretty well. When Will Smith wears that mask once, he looks like Deadshot. When Harley Quinn looks like Harley Quinn, Captain Boomerang looks like Captain Boomerang, and so on. But the aesthetics are about the only thing they got right, at least in terms of how the characters are supposed to look. And I suppose in terms of how they're supposed to act in some ways, but...
I absolutely agree. Like, it felt like it was this pastiche of, like, oh, here's the general atmosphere. Here's the general, like, impression of what the Joker is. Let's, like, throw him in there. And he doesn't really do or say anything in particular, but, he's kind of Joker-ish. And the same kind of goes for everybody. It's like, oh, Harley Quinn is just kind of Harley Quinn-ish. Like... But like nothing that happens kind of amounts to anything, if you know what I mean? Like,
yeah. And I think on that note, we should just ring the spoiler bell and then get on to talking about the characters. And so...
Let's do it.
Yeah. Yeah, so characters. I suppose the first one would be Will Smith. I mean, Deadshot. Although I mean Will Smith.
Truth!
There was a guy called Deadshot in the film, but he was Will Smith.
Absolutely. Yeah. I mean, the whole painting, you might have to illuminate me here because I'm not very sure about the particulars of the character. But is he a father? And does that play a big role for his character in the comics at all?
He has, it depends who's writing him. It depends what decade he's being written and so on. But I think more recent versions have had the kind of daughter angle. Certainly in Arrow, he had a child. That he was sort of making as much money as he could for. And there was an interesting arc about that where he identified that it was better for him to stay out of his daughter's life, but he gives her money. And that's what he can bring to her existence.
Right.
Whereas this guy is content to be in her life, even though he's on the run most of the time and being hunted by everyone.
Yeah, okay. Because I thought that this is something that Will Smith's character has, this is something that Will Smith has had in a lot of his movies recently, because I guess he's growing out of the young, hot, leading guy age, and he's crossing into, like, dad territory. Like, he still gets to play cool guys that also have children.
Yeah.
And it just kind of felt like that was kind of like put in there on purpose because, Will Smith is a dad now, but he can be a hot dad and we should be reminded of that sort of thing. I don't know.
Yeah, I thought he was fine, but Will Smith is always kind of good. He's always, you know what you're getting with him, and he had a lot of charisma, and I think that
he was probably the best thing about this movie.
Yeah, I would say he dominated it a bit too much, though, which made it less of an ensemble piece and more of a Will Smith, Harley Quinn, and the Suicide Squad thing, and that's kind of the order that it goes.
Yeah.
I think if they'd got a less famous actor to play the role, then maybe they would, I don't know whether Will Smith demanded more time be taken up by his character or whether it was just a symptom of him being in it. You know, they'd hired him, they'd paid for him, so we better rewrite the script and throw him in it as much as possible.
I mean, both angles are entirely plausible, so yeah.
Yeah.
Definitely.
But I think if it wasn't him, he could have faded into the background a bit more and it would have been more of a team piece rather than this Will Smith and his friends.
Yeah, kind of let the others shine a little bit, because, I mean, like, I didn't really get much of Captain Boomerang at all, if like, just, like, glimpses of, you know, he had a couple of lines, I guess. Yeah. Or, like, Killer Croc, like, I don't know what he's about at all. No. Like, I still don't get it. He's still just kind of there and covered in scales and occasionally grunting. Like, that's kind of it. And I'm, you know, like, I was like, just trying to figure him out, and then the movie was over, and I was like, oh, okay, I guess that's that then. He's going back to the sewers. Well, sure. Just, like, I don't even know. And Harley Quinn's character as well, like, she was very much a caricature, of, like, I don't know, I've read a lot of criticism about Harley Quinn's character, about it being a sexist take on the character, which I very much agree with, because instead of making her in any way empowering, she is literally a bimbo that solely exists for the purpose of being with the Joker and doing everything for the Joker and just being obsessed with him. And that is her purpose in life, and that is masqueraded as being in love, which is not real, accurate, or empowering on any level. And so, like, I think that that's such a shame, because Harley Quinn's character has, in the comics, been quite an empowering figure. But to reduce her to this, I don't know.
Though it is a little bit consistent with her early appearances, especially in the animated series, where she was very subservient to the Joker. You know, he would abuse her and she would take it, and it was pretty dark for a 90s kids cartoon, actually. So it's eventually she has to get away from that, and I suppose the film was supposed to be about her getting away from that, but she never did.
Yeah, exactly. Like, if it had been about that, and if she had, because she and Deadshot, like, they kind of had a few moments where I thought, ooh, is this perhaps, because they had a whole conversation about being in love, and Deadshot said that he never has, and she was like, you know, kind of dismissive of that fact, or kind of telling him, you know, oh, you know, haha, maybe one day you will. And then kind of later on, they have a couple of moments of, like, genuine connection. And I thought, oh, is this where that's going? Because I wouldn't mind that, you know, like if they kind of found each other through a more kind of genuine connection rather than what she has going with the Joker, then both of them could learn something from that and change and evolve. But then kind of neither of them does. And it's like, oh, I guess that was kind of a carrot dangled in front of us that never really manifested into anything.
Yeah, and I never got the sense of why she fell for the Joker. You know, you're told that she was his therapist, and it was him that was doing a number on her instead, and you're told that, but you don't see that happen. Yeah, and then it's just, by the time you get there, it's already happened. Yeah.
I actually had a problem with that whole, like, introduction sequence, because we get, I didn't time it, but, you know, probably around 10, 15 minutes of, here's this character, here's where they come from, here's their motivation, here's their crimes. But we don't really see much of it. We don't really get to understand any of it. And they just kind of serve to what? Like, it's just like, it's not a good enough introduction. It's not a good enough kind of, like, these could have been separate movies.
Yeah.
Except they were crammed in the space of a 15-minute, like, exposition, like, meltdown, where there was just so much information that we got none of it.
Yeah, well, if you look at it from a universe perspective, if it existed in this world where DC had started this when Marvel started it, say, and you were at the point where all these villains had been introduced in solo films not solo films for them, but other heroes films.
Yeah, sure, yeah.
So, you get Captain Boomerang as a villain in a Flash film, and then suddenly he turns up again in Suicide Squad. If they've done the groundwork and you know who these characters are, then fair enough. But at this point, it was, we need to sum these up in 2 minutes so that we can get on with our story here. And it just doesn't hang together.
Precisely. It kind of felt as well, with that intro kind of sequence and just generally with the retro soundtrack.
Yeah.
It just felt like, here's Guardians of the Galaxy, but darker.
Yeah.
Except none of it works the way Guardians of the Galaxy works. So it's just like a lesser version of what Marvel did and worked. Like, they just, like, that's what gets me with DC. Like, they just try so hard to do what Marvel has already done and better. And then they just don't get it. They just don't get it. And they don't do things in the sequence that would have made sense for audiences to stick around. And so, like, I just don't know what they're trying to do.
Yeah, they're a victim of their own patience in a lot of ways. I think there was probably an element of, let's see how Marvel get on with this, and then we've got a bunch of heroes that we can also cross over. Brilliant. And then you get to that point where Marvel have got this fully established universe, and they're like, oh no, we need to do this now.
Yeah.
So you get Man of Steel.
Exactly.
And people watch Man of Steel, and it's got divisive reactions and so on. And then the next film, you've got Batman in a Superman film, you've got Superman in a Batman film, to be honest.
Exactly.
But even then, okay, let's introduce another character in the sequel to this other film. That's fine. But then you're getting to this point where, oh no, we need to do this bulk upload of villains that we can all use again later on. And then they're going to do the team up film, and then they're going to go back and do the solo films. It's a bit messy. It
is very messy. I don't think that this reverse approach works at all, actually.
No.
But yeah, I guess we'll talk about that in a little bit. I wanted to talk about Cara Delevingne's character, or rather, I mean, which one? Because she
didn't have any, really.
Exactly. Like, she gets to be June Moon for like maybe 5 seconds, and then she's the Enchantress for the rest of it. But even that, like, even she has like kind of multiple versions, and like none of it really clicks or connects. I mean, like, don't get me wrong. I actually like Cara Delevingne, and I think she has a lot of acting potential. I think she can do really great work if she's given the chance. And this was not a chance at all. They just kind of like put her in a revealing costume, which, worked very well. But like, what did that accomplish for the character? Like, I would have loved to see more between her and Joel Kinnaman's character. Was it Rick Flag?
Rick Flag, yeah. What
a name. Yeah, so Rick Flag with the flag hat, and June Moon, again, what a name. Like, yeah? He
was originally supposed to be played by Tom Hardy, but he left for unspecified reasons.
Oh, see, I think that Kinnaman, well, unspecified reasons probably being The Revenant, because they were shooting around the same time, I think.
Or Will Smith. I don't know.
Ooh, drama. I've not heard about this.
Well, there was a rumor, I can't remember where I read it, but there was a rumor at the time that Will Smith's ego was annoying him, or the fact that they were at least changing the film a bit to suit Will Smith annoyed him so much that he thought, I can do better than this, and then left.
Well, in all fairness, he probably can. In all fairness, like, it probably would have hurt his career to be part of this. So it's better that he isn't. Just, like, let him run off and, make fancy movies, and, like, because he's a very good actor. Not that the people in Suicide Squad are not, but, like, he has already proven that he can do a lot more versatile things than just be in a superhero movie, and I think it's a good thing that he's trying to do that. Now, Joel Kinnaman, I think, carried that character really well, and I loved him. He was probably my favorite. Him and Diablo, I think, I connected with the most. Like, cause he had like that genuine, like, emotional, like heartfelt kind of feeling, despite the fact that he was a soldier. Like you could tell that he cared a lot about this girl and that their connection is very strong. You could only really see it from his point of view because she is gone for most of the time.
Yeah.
And when she isn't, she's just kind of like clinging to him. And that's all we really get of their relationship, like, which I don't really think is enough. I don't really think that it's convincing, like, on both their parts that, you know, they are the love of each other's lives. Like, I get it for him, but for her, I don't really know. Because she doesn't really get a chance to show any of that. We're just kind of told what happens, and we're meant to kind of accept that. And that's something that always bugs me with exposition. I don't like it when a movie just kind of tells you something and that's supposed to be it. Like, I need to see it. Otherwise, I don't believe any of it. That goes for books as well. Like, you can't just have like a line thrown away, like, oh yeah, this is the power and that's what he does. And it's like, if you don't show me it, he doesn't have it, you know?
Yeah.
Like that sort of thing. And this movie has a lot of that.
See, I found Kinnaman to be one of the blandest of a bland bunch. I never connected with him in RoboCop either, but I thought that was terrible.
I never saw that.
Yeah, don't.
Okay.
I think he was part of the problem as well, though. There's something, I don't know, there's something about him where I don't feel like he connects to what he's trying to do very well. And to be fair, he had very little to do in this film, but yet there was supposed to be this back and forth between him and Deadshot that was supposed to be kind of friendly banter, but...
Oh, is that what that was supposed to be?
It never felt like it. I think Will Smith was carrying his end of it, but there was a lack of chemistry there, or just a lack of engagement from Kinnaman.
Yeah. Oh my gosh. Is that what that was supposed to be?
Because, they were just jabbing at each other all the time, or they were supposed to be.
Yeah, like, it never really feels like their relationship changes much from that, like, antagonistic, you know, I own you, therefore you do as I say, and then, like, Will Smith, like, begrudgingly going along with that.
Yeah.
I don't think that changes much, probably until, like, the very end when there's, like, this weird man hug between them, and, like, Kinnaman is like, yay, we've beat the evil thing, and it's like, okay, yeah, like, no touchy. I'm, no homo. What are you doing? I don't like hugs. And like, that was very out of the blue, because if that was supposed to be like a gradual evolution, I didn't get that. Yeah. I didn't get that at all.
And as you said, his relationship with June didn't come across at all, other than in dialogue. They missed a lot of beats with that. I mean, the whole idea would have been, in a better film, maybe he would have been the one that talked her down or distracted her a little bit.
Yeah.
Before, I don't know, blowing her up, or he's the one to deliver the killing blow or something like that. But that doesn't happen. He just speaks to her and then something else happens. Yeah. Because Will Smith needs to do something.
Will Smith and Harley Quinn. Yeah, that's it. Like, it's their show.
Yeah.
Like, where this could have been I absolutely agree. Like, if this had been like a more personal moment between, like, Rick Flag and June, or, well, the Enchantress, like, if there had been like a personal edge to that final conflict, it could have worked a lot better, but instead, like, Harley Quinn has to jump in and be the center of the show because she wears short shorts, and therefore that's a thing.
Plus, fan favorite character as well.
Yeah,
that's part of it, definitely. There was some concerning character moments towards the end. Anyway, the whole idea of I keep wanting to say Will Smith instead of Deadshot
because he's Will Smith.
Yeah, but there was that moment where he was trying to shoot the bomb or whatever it was, and he got confronted with the image of his daughter, and he overcomes the illusion and shoots it anyway. I think as a character beat, it would have been much better if that was the first time he ever missed, because he was distracted, but they missed that too.
Yeah.
So many character moments that would have worked.
Like, absolutely. Yeah. I could definitely see that. Like, what a missed chance.
Because they established throughout, they said so many times, I hear you never miss. I never miss. Whenever I wear this mask, someone dies. So it's a good job he never wears it then, I suppose. But, then, there was all sorts of that going on. The whole idea of Killer Croc, I guess that could have built to self-sacrifice
Mm.
because he's been an outcast for his whole life and could have died a hero in inverted commas.
Yeah, except he just doesn't really do much. He just kind of like grunts sometimes, swims in the sewer.
Yeah.
You know, but there is a touching moment of self-confidence, which, you know, is really nice because at some point Harley Quinn calls him ugly and he goes, "No, I am beautiful." And I'm like, you go, Killer Croc. You tell her.
Yeah. I mean, there was too many characters here anyway. There was too many to give all of them something decent to do.
Yeah. Yeah, but that just ends up with none of them having anything decent to do. Can I just like briefly touch upon the Japanese lady
with Katana?
With the katana sword, so aptly named Katana, who just like talks in Japanese and expects people to understand her, and like wearing a Japanese flag mask.
Yeah,
and also like just like what like. How is nobody, like, having a fit over how racist that is? Because, Jesus! Like, this is 2016, and to have a caricature of this magnitude, like, waltzing around going, just, like, spouting Japanese phrases, and then, like, this is this mystical sword that steals people's souls and, like, locks them away, and it's like, nobody's even going, what now? They just go, oh, shit. Oh wow, really? Like, oh wow. It's like, excuse me. Even in a world where there's like enchantresses and, you know, bat people and supermen, there's a sword that locks people's souls away, and like that's fine for you guys. Like, none of you are going to question this. What's going on?
When she turned up, I think my background with the comics means that I just accept these people when they turn up. So it was fine. When she turned up, I was like, oh, cool, she has her sword and she talks to her dead husband. That's consistent with who she is. Yeah. But the problem was, Rick Flag had spent a few scenes talking about how crazy this was all to him. And then it's like, oh, by the way, this is my bodyguard. I've known her forever. She has a sword that she talks to and it has the soul of her dead husband. Wasn't this freaking you out 5 minutes ago? You know?
Right. Exactly. Exactly my point. Like, you know, if it had been consistent in that respect, like if he would have just like lost his shit like throughout because of this, then fine. Or if he was just like nonchalant and like blasé about it, that would have also worked. But you can't have both things. It just doesn't work in terms of like the universe that you're trying to build, where all of these things kind of coexist. They either do or they don't. Like you can't. Yeah.
Yeah, and that point was a bit strange anyway, because they introduced Slipknot and Katana within a couple of minutes, but I thought they were done introducing characters by that point.
Yeah. Is Slipknot the guy who, like, comes in kind of towards the end and then promptly dies?
Yeah, dies after about 2 lines, and they establish that he can climb anything, and then he fires a grappling hook. It's like, well, I could climb anything if I had a grappling hook.
Oh, okay. See, because I was kind of lost there. I was like, who is this guy and why is he here now? He's probably going to die because they haven't told us who he is. And then he dies. And I'm like, oh, okay. Like, they haven't allowed us to care about him at all because he's expendable.
Yeah, and they had to establish the stakes as well. You know, we've put this explosive in every one of you. Here's what happens if you step out of line.
Yeah, they just needed somebody to do that too. So that, you know, and I know why that needed to happen.
Yeah, they set him up to kill him, and then he came in and said 3 things and then was killed.
Yeah.
Seconds later.
I'm guilty of doing this in my writing, in that, like, I've created a character solely for the purpose of, I need you to die so that my main character doesn't die, but somebody needs to die in this chapter for X reason.
Yeah.
And so, like, I could see right through that straight away, like when he comes on, and I didn't actually hear his name. So I was like, who's this guy? He's a dude. Okay. He's probably gonna die. And then, like, 2 minutes later he does, and I'm like, uh-huh. And that's the one time in this movie that we get, like, showing instead of telling, because the rest of the time we're just told things and expected to just, like, accept them as fact. So that's not, not very good, not very well balanced anyway.
No, and he was supposed to team up with Boomerang for some reason, so there was the kind of hint that they had a pre-established friendship or...
Oh, is that what that was?
I think so, but as soon as... Because Boomerang said, we need to do our own thing, and then the next thing you know, Slipknot's climbing a wall, and he's dead.
Yeah.
And then never mentioned again.
Oh, well. Oh, well, that's partnerships for you. Yeah. Who else in this movie? Trying to think of, have we missed any characters? Oh, yeah. I mean, what about Amanda Waller? What do you think of her?
I thought she was better than she needed to be. She was very, very good, I thought. She was interestingly, what's the word? Duplicitous, in the sense that she needed control over everything. I really liked that when, with Rick Flag, for instance, she had to make sure he was smitten with this woman, well, with June, rather than just be a soldier that follows orders. Like, that wasn't enough for her.
Yeah.
So that was really interesting, I thought.
I mean, yeah, like, because she had her own agenda. Yeah. Which was obviously, like, clashing with her superiors. So, like, this entire, the entire premise, actually, of putting together a task force made up of villains, is dumb. And, you know, like, I was expecting this film to kind of make it make sense.
Yeah.
And I don't think that they did, for me anyway. Like, when Rick Flag at some point says, you don't need, like, super people, you need soldiers. And I'm like, yes, listen to this guy. He knows what he's talking about. You know, like, it never kind of passes that initial test.
Yeah.
Because, like, I don't think that even by the end of it, I am not convinced that this was entirely necessary.
There's also the fact that they went in with soldiers. I mean, what's the point in that? If you're going to create a squad of expendable, superpowered, in inverted commas, people, then you have surely sending them in with soldiers that are also, by definition, expendable.
Yeah.
Defeats the purpose.
Yep. So it's like what is the difference between this team and the other team?
Yeah.
Yeah, I definitely couldn't see the purpose for this team's existence. It didn't at any point feel justified, even as they sort of saved the world at the end. And I say sort of because first, like, thousands of people died probably, in that, like, initial kind of, like, big thing that the Enchantress does, and, like, her machine kind of attacks places and people and military facilities, and I don't even know. And, like, you know, so first of all, like, massive destruction, and then I guess they stopped it eventually. But, you know, what is the point? Well, I don't know.
In the comics, the Suicide Squad tended to go into black ops situations where maybe the US government or whoever couldn't be caught out as being liable for you know, if they get caught, then they're disavowed essentially.
Yeah.
So if it's just a bunch of villains hanging out in Iraq doing whatever, you know, attacking some high value target, then that's just a bunch of villains doing that. And it's nothing to do with the US government.
Yeah, so, see, like, that works story-wise. I wonder why they had to go with a different kind of plot.
Yeah, well, as soon as they introduced the Enchantress, I was like, really? Because if you look at the scale of power between them, you've got a guy that can shoot really well, some crazy woman who's good with a mallet, someone who throws boomerangs, a mutant crocodile thing, and this insanely powerful witch who can go anywhere and do anything.
Yeah, oh god. Now that you're putting it this way, the whole premise is ridiculous.
Yeah.
And I love superhero movies, but this kind of, like, there needs to be kind of a line where this works even within the universe of this film. Yeah. Like, you know, if even within this universe the power scales are tipped so much, then it just doesn't work. It just really doesn't work.
If it'd been Deadshot, Harley Quinn, Captain Boomerang and... All right, we'll give them Killer Croc. Then you've got a team of capable people with gimmicks and one strong mutant thing.
Yeah, but we keep forgetting Diablo, though. I really like him.
He was probably the best of the bunch, but again, he had nothing to do, and he was proclaiming that they were family by the end. And
I know.
Where did that come from?
Where did that come from? Like, suddenly it was like, oh, I'm not about to lose my second family. Like, literally 5 minutes ago, you were prepared to just, like, let him die.
Yeah.
So, I don't know where the hell you're getting this connection from. Yeah, absolutely agreed. I thought that he had a very interesting story. And as we get, like, the revelation of his story, that was really emotional. Kind of like, you know, if the rest of the film had been more balanced, that could have been, like, a really poignant moment, but it just kind of gets lost in, like, a sea of stuff. But what's interesting is that, in the one moment where he kind of, like, lets himself be overtaken by his power, he also uses this ancient language.
Yeah.
That the Enchantress uses and that her unnamed god brother type thing uses as well.
Incubus, but I don't think they ever said it in the film.
No, I don't think they did. Or if they did, I missed it.
Yeah.
But fair enough. Yeah. They all kind of share, I guess, like some kind of heritage. Like, where did he get his power from? If he was always kind of possessed by this being, like, you know, that was never really made clear. If he wasn't possessed by a being, if the power came to him a different way, why does he speak this ancient language? Like, what's the deal?
Yeah.
And neither he nor anybody else seems very bothered by this.
And arguably he could have been the most important player in this scenario because he is one of them.
Yep.
So if anything, it would have been, okay, I'm starting to feel something familiar here. I don't know. Maybe he starts getting memories of knowing these two, or I don't know. But
yeah, something.
It seems like he would have been really important in the plot rather than, okay, now we've rescued Amanda Waller, which was their mission. They weren't sent in to stop this at all. They were just to get Waller out. So yeah, it was after that point they just decided, oh, we better go stop this while we're here. But if there'd been, I don't know, if he'd been drawn to them or something, if there'd been memories, anything that would have connected him to the villain story, it might have been anchored a bit more than just magic guy versus magic guy.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, absolutely. I mean, I think we've kind of touched upon everybody. So
except the Joker.
Oh my gosh, yeah. So that's a thing that happens briefly. And I don't like him.
I don't like him either.
I don't like this Joker at all. After having, I mean, my Joker will always be Jack Nicholson because he scared the crap out of me when I was a kid. And that's the kind of Joker that I always have in my mind. That, you know, like that's the psychotic kind of like crazy dude with, you know, penchant for crime. But after like having him and having like Heath Ledger's kind of more like grounded, logical type villain who's just, you know, like a pure anarchist, and that's, you know, his purpose in life, which was great and a refreshing take on the character. Like, now we just get this guy who, like, just, I don't know, laughs for no reason. Like, even his psychosis is not, I just don't buy into any of it.
Yeah.
Is my problem. And like the entire setup of his relationship with Harley Quinn is a very tired affair, in my opinion. And I don't know. And because it's a bit, I think underwhelming is an underwhelming word, but I'm going to go with that. It's just so much of a non-issue, like a non-story.
Yeah.
That, like, I'm just not sure why that was there. And even more so, the fact that for months we've just been, like, getting all these updates, like, Jared Leto's gone crazy, he's sending people dead pigs, and like, I don't even know, just, like, getting weird tattoos, and, like, you know, just scaring people on set and going, oh yeah, this is all because I'm acting, and, you know, method and whatever. for him to be in it in, like, 5 scenes of kind of the same kind of stuff, and, like, where I don't even buy into it, like, what was that even?
Well, the thing is, there's been hundreds of different interpretations of the Joker over the years, so I'm always keen to see a new one. And bringing him back to being a kind of gangster mob boss type of character is a good idea in theory, because the Heath Ledger one was just an agent of chaos, which was fine for that version, but having the gangster one back was interesting. My Joker will always be Mark Hamill, even though he was just a voice.
Fair enough.
And I always like Cesar Romero as well. He was, he's harmless. But the Heath Ledger one's a lot better than this, and I thought Jared Leto's performance was all over the place. And the character as conceived was all over the place as well. I mean, who tattoos their catchphrases all over themselves? You know, surely the Joker just shows what he's made of by doing it rather than writing about it. Or, you know, it felt like he was playing up the part rather than actually being the part. And he didn't really do an awful lot. I mean, the trailers, I watched the trailers after I saw the film. The trailers were very heavy on him, almost hinting that he was the villain for the team.
Exactly.
And then he's not in much more than you see in the trailers.
Absolutely. I think, I don't remember where I read this, but something about, Jared Leto being really cross that they had cut a lot of his scenes out, that they had filmed a lot more stuff and then they didn't use it and they didn't tell him, of course. And so it was like, wait, I thought I was going to be in a lot more of this, and instead it's just like 10 minutes.
Yeah, it's, I mean, he gets shot down and the implication is that he's dead, and you have Harley Quinn betraying the team so that Enchantress can bring him back. Which I thought was vaguely interesting. It would have been interesting if that betrayal had happened and been like, I have nobody to bring back, he's still alive.
Yeah, except they didn't even go that far in the end.
Well, it was just a trick on her part, wasn't it? She was just tricking everybody.
Yeah.
Yeah. It was a bit, I thought he was pretty terrible, and I really hope we don't see this Joker ever again. But we're going to.
We're going to. Yeah, no, I don't think we're getting away from that. For some reason, it's a thing.
Yeah. And it's the idea that he keeps coming for her as well. That's not consistent with what they suggested that their relationship was. You know, if he was truly as abusive as he's supposed to be, then the chances are he would be leaving her to get arrested a lot and then taking her back when she begs rather than the other way around. But I suppose they had to give Harley Quinn more agency, in inverted commas.
Suppose.
I mean, they didn't, but I think that was the idea.
All the missed opportunities. Like, there was so many ways and so many theories that I'd read and heard and, like, you know, talked about with people before this movie was out, about where they thought this movie would go, and like all the character dynamics that, you know, because I don't read the comics, so I'm not familiar with this at all, but a lot of my friends are, and so when we would talk about it, they would have like all these stories that they thought, you know, maybe they might draw from to make the film, and all of that sounded really interesting, and then the film is none of those things.
No.
And yet kind of tries to be a lot of those things, and it's just like it's the effect is entirely a blip.
Yeah.
You know, like as you said, you know, you saw it a bit like a week ago and you already don't remember what happened in it.
Yeah.
I saw it 2 hours ago, and frankly, I'm not going to be thinking about it tomorrow.
Yeah.
You know, like that's it.
There's no story as far as I mean, they get sent in to extract a high value target.
Yeah.
That turns out to be Amanda Waller.
Yeah.
So she couldn't extract herself for some reason. And she's sitting in this control room with a bunch of people that aren't cleared to be working in that control room. So she kills them on the way out. That makes no sense.
Man, that makes zero sense. What? Like, when she, like, pops them, I think that was just literally so that we can, like, if until that moment we weren't aware that she meant business.
Yeah.
I think that's the moment where it's like, oh, she means business.
Well, the quote-unquote good guys have to be worse than the quote-unquote bad guys.
Yeah.
And, well, I suppose mission accomplished, but I don't know. Evil equals stupid usually. So
Yeah.
And that was just stupid.
This is true. That's something it's like a pathology of modern film, like not being able to make a good enough villain. Because, the villain has to be stupider than your hero. And in this case, with our heroes being villains, then the villain of this story, I don't know.
Yeah. I mean,
I don't know what they were trying to go.
Enchantress and Incubus were pretty limp villains as well.
And the thing is that, like, if they're so powerful, they could have gone, like, 10 different ways with this and it would have been a better story. But instead, like, it just... Maybe the problem was that there were a lot of characters that needed to share screen time. And, like, Will Smith's character tends to take up a lot of that. And Harley Quinn takes, like, the other 30%. And so you're left with, like, a third of screen time and, like, so much story to cram into it. So the whole, like, motivation for any of this becomes, they are worshipping machines, so we're going to make a machine that will kill them or something. Yeah,
and how much of the world did they wipe out at the end? There seemed to be quite a lot of damage done. I mean, probably more than
actually,
probably more than in both previous films combined.
Yep. Yeah, I was thinking about that, like when we get like a shot from space of kind of half the planet being engulfed by this like dark cloud.
Yeah.
And like different strands of it going to attack specific locations. And, we could kind of get glimpses into that. And I'm thinking, wow, like people had a problem with Metropolis being trashed and, twice.
Yep.
Like this is infinitely worse. This is, like I don't even know how many thousands of people died. And then I was just kind of thinking, where will that fit later on, like in the following movies? Because we still have Justice League coming up. We still have like the solo Wonder Woman and Aquaman and Flash and like all of that. So where will this destruction come into the following films? I wonder how they're going to handle that. Although,
if at all.
Yeah, if at all, exactly. Like, because I was going to say, like, that being said, the way that they handled the Man of Steel destruction was underwhelming. They tried to go, like, to sort of, like, make up for that in Batman v Superman, but then kind of repeated it. So then it's like, well now what?
They kept assuring us that wherever they were happened to be abandoned.
Yeah.
So there was that.
Oh, yeah, that's true. Oh, yeah, like, by the way, there's no people here, so we're not killing anybody.
Why did you bring this creature here? It's abandoned. Okay. Yeah.
Okay. Why are we fighting in this abandoned place?
Yeah. Apparently there's no homeless people milling about, so we're okay.
Yeah.
But
that's why it's abandoned.
But this should have been the film with the lowest collateral damage, because you've got should have a bunch of people that aren't able to inflict that much on their own. But then, if you've got someone that can wipe out however much of a chunk of the planet, then, why aren't the Suicide Squad wiped out in half a second afterwards?
Yeah.
You've got Incubus trying to punch Deadshot, I think it was, or Frog, or someone. He tries to punch someone.
Yeah.
When he'd previously been using his magical tendril stuff.
Yeah.
So, yeah, it's one of those, the plot needs this.
Yeah, like, we all know that at the end of the day, a punching fight is a lot more effective than any superpower.
Yeah.
Any superhero will resort to punching things because it just looks cool, so go along with it, Craig, right? Be a good sport.
or a big explosive against apparently a god who's able to withstand the hit from another god.
Somehow.
Yeah. So, but this bomb that's underneath him, that killed him. That's fine.
Yeah.
Yeah. The conclusion was rubbish. I mean, you had that giant beam that hits into the sky like every other film these days.
Yeah.
And you had the kind of ludicrous villains not doing anything because there needs to be some kind of fist fight with some quipping.
Yes.
And I don't have a problem with that when it's done well, but when it's done like this, I was constantly wondering, why are these people here? And how are they still alive?
Deadshot Slime, like when Amanda Waller pops up at the end.
How are you alive?
Yeah. How are you not dead?
Yeah.
I'm like, thank you. Somebody said it. Like, how are you not dead? Like, that was beautiful.
Yeah.
I didn't hate all of it. Like, there were a couple of moments, like, that was a good moment. And I really, truly loved the soundtrack, not the retro soundtrack, the score.
I don't remember the score.
Oh man, like, there were these amazing moments where, I think it was, one of them was, when they were first, recruiting Killer Croc, I think. Or like one of their first like group action sequences. And it was just kind of like this epic, like really cool, soundtrack. And I'm like, ooh, this is great. This is really nice. And so I always, when I like a soundtrack, I stick around at the credits to see who did the music. And it's Stephen Price who did Gravity.
All right. Okay.
Yeah. Who won the Oscar for Gravity.
Yeah.
But, you know, like, at the same time, I can't help but just feel like, man, Steven, why are you doing this? Of all the projects that you could have been working on, you picked this piece of garbage?
Like, remember, from a composer point of view, they don't even see the script. Usually, they get given, I think, I saw something about this before. On most films, they get given a collection of scenes, and they're supposed to kind of come up with a score, and they get character descriptions and things like that, and they come up with defining music for those characters. So he probably didn't know what he was getting into.
I just feel sorry for him, you know? Like,
yeah.
Like I mean, you know, at the end of the day, like, if, you know, the score remains, and it's pretty good from what I heard today, so I'm just hoping that this will not tarnish his potential, because, you know, like, the man is great. Like, he had only done, I think, one big project before Gravity, and Gravity was like his second, like, big feature film type thing, and it was amazing, and it blew me away, and it rightly won the Oscar. And so now, you know, like, he should have his pick of the litter. You know, he could be doing anything, and I guess, you know, he got saddled with this, and I just hope that he goes on to do better things than this.
It's possible they might get him on board for Justice League.
Oh, perhaps. Perhaps.
Yeah, because Marvel tend to reuse a lot of their composers from film to film. Henry Jackman's done a couple, and so on. He
has, yeah. Although now they've gotten Michael Giacchino on the team, and he's again an Oscar-winning composer. So you know,
and Silvestri's coming back for Avengers next time, I think, which will be good. But yeah, I don't remember the score at all. Maybe I was too distracted by the music. There was
a lot happening. What did you think of the retro music, actually? Because I kind of found it a bit, like, on the nose a lot.
There's only one song I remember, and that's the Eminem one.
Oh, yeah.
But that's because I thought it worked.
Yeah.
Even though the scene was ludicrous, it's why they're giving them all their clothes back and stuff. Why aren't they making them wear, like, Black Ops outfits?
Spandex.
Yeah.
Like, they give Harley Quinn a chest of her old clothes, and she's like, oh yeah, I'm gonna pick these, like, hot shorts, because why not?
Yeah.
And it's like, you're going into battle. Like, you should probably wear something a little more practical. Not that these people care if you die, but, you know.
I think it makes sense for her. You know, she doesn't really care. She's only here because she's bored, sort of thing. Yeah. But, you know, I don't understand why they would give her stuff back, because, I mean, okay, she has a gun, and for some reason being a psychiatrist who goes insane makes you an amazing shot. But, and then she has that mallet that she never uses, but she's quite happy about.
No, she uses it twice, I think.
Oh, does she?
Yeah. She uses it a couple of times, but then for some reason the mallet turns into a baseball bat. And she has a baseball bat for the rest of the film. Like, but she does begin with the mallet, so it is there.
Yeah, the baseball bat as well. Why are you going into this situation with a baseball bat?
And even her gun, like, it's just a handgun. Yeah. Like, I don't know. In terms of ammo, it's neither the strongest nor the most, like, it doesn't have a lot of bullets in it. So,
yeah. I mean, I understand why you give Deadshot his gear because it's all custom and all that stuff. And Captain Boomerang probably builds his own boomerangs that do whatever he needs them to do.
I didn't really see a lot of boomerang action in this.
He uses one as a camera.
Right, yeah, and then it gets shot down. Yeah, that's right. Mm-hmm.
And he throws one at someone earlier.
But then it doesn't come back.
Yeah.
So that kind of defeats the purpose. I was expecting it to come back and then it doesn't. And I'm like, oh, but isn't that what a boomerang does? I'm disappointed now. Yeah.
Yeah, so I can understand giving these people their tech back. But Harley Quinn should have been given something
else. Yeah. Something stronger.
That's the only song I can remember.
See, like there was, they actually used a song that was in the Guardians of the Galaxy soundtrack as well, which is Spirit in the Sky. That's I think when they're helicoptered into the city.
All right. Bohemian Rhapsody, that was at the end, wasn't it? Or some of it was.
Yeah, completely contextless, apart from the fact that it's used in the trailer.
Yeah.
And on that note, like, there's a lot of moments where a song will come on and, somebody will say, like, a quip, and it just feels like a trailer moment. They pause for effect as well. And then they move on and the scene is gone. And there's just like a lot of that, like where just like the punchline of a scene will be a song will come on, somebody will say something funny, pause, right. And then that's it. And it's like, are you making a giant trailer or are you making a feature film?
Well, there's a rumor that they got some trailer editors in to do the final cut.
This
so it
makes
sense.
Yeah. Yeah, this definitely makes sense now.
I suppose it's a giant trailer it's a giant trailer for other movies, I think.
But which movies though?
Yeah.
Like, because neither, like, Captain Boomerang is not going to get a solo film.
No.
Deadshot is not going to get a solo film. Harley Quinn, I guess, maybe, because he has clout.
Yeah.
Will Smith has clout.
Harley Quinn's already getting a solo film, apparently.
Okay. Yeah, I was going to say, like, she's probably one of the only ones who's going to get a solo film. Katana or, like, Rick Flag with a flag hat. Like, I can't. Yeah. Like, it was trying to be, and I was talking with somebody fairly recently about how, like, Batman v Superman feels like it's 7 movies at once. Cause it's a Batman movie. It's also a Superman movie. It's also the first Justice League movie. It's also the setup for Wonder Woman. And it's also the setup, like it's just like there's a lot going on.
Yeah.
And so is this, like, but this kind of reverse tracks that by going, here's 7 movies in the first 15 minutes. And then here's, like, the aftermath of those 7 movies. And then also we're setting up other stuff. And it's like, just so much is happening that nothing is happening.
Yeah, and it definitely has the wider universe in mind when, in this film, these villains have already got pre-established relationships with whatever heroes they come up against. So, you see Batman bringing down both Deadshot and Harley Quinn. Mm-hmm. And I suppose Batman felt a bit more Batman-ish than he did in Batman v Superman, in the sense of he's prowling the city looking for people.
Although, in a characteristically un-Batman way, like, can we talk about the fact that he attacks Deadshot when he's with his daughter in an alley?
Yeah.
And it's like, but that's what happened to him when he was a kid. Like, why would you attack this kid's parent, even though he's a bad person? Like, can you imagine what you're doing to her right now? And, like, she kind of seems unfazed. Like, she stands between the gun and Batman going, please, daddy, don't shoot him. And it's like, obviously he's wearing a bulletproof suit. So, like, whatever. And also, you're like, weirdly nonchalant about this. Like, you're more concerned with the moral failings of your father rather than, like, this guy might kill both of you.
Yeah.
Like,
oh, maybe it's a weekly occurrence for her. She sees her dad coming up against superheroes all the time.
Oh, well.
Here we go again.
Yeah. Yeah, but I was really thrown by how un-Batman it is to attack, like, a parent and their child in an alley. Like, I just couldn't get over that.
Yeah, you'd think he would follow them home and wait till she's asleep.
Something like that. Or, like, yeah, or wait for him to be alone or something like that, because apparently the girl lives with her mom anyway.
Yeah.
So Deadshot is by himself most of the time, but no, he has to attack him during, like, his visit hours. Like, why would you do that? Like, what is wrong with you?
Yeah, I suppose the idea was that it was supposed to show that Deadshot was redeemable and Batman gave him the chance to do the right thing, but it didn't quite come across.
No, I was more preoccupied with the fact that, like, it's eerily similar to, like, Batman's origin story, and, like, it just doesn't, for me, make sense for him to do that.
Yeah. It's also unclear when that took place in the overall timeline.
I mean,
I can't remember.
Is the rest of the timeline clear to you? Because
well, I mean, it's clear that it's before Batman v Superman, but how far before? Because in Batman v Superman, it's clearly established that Batman has changed. You know, he's now a guy who kills, and presumably because Robin was killed.
Yeah.
Though at least that's the implication. But is this before that? Because you've got this Batman who shows mercy, or is it long before it? I mean, they don't I don't think they establish how long Deadshot had been imprisoned. Maybe they did.
Oh, no. I don't think so. I don't remember them saying anything, or if they did, I missed it. Yeah, so that's a fairly good question, actually. I mean, the others as well. Like, I don't think we ever get much of an idea of how long they've been in prison.
Yeah.
Or captive. So, yeah.
Yeah, I think with Captain Boomerang, it's pretty recent. It's more recent than anything else. Because you see the Flash turn up. And,
oh, that's right, yep.
Yeah, and he's not established quite yet. I mean, when you see the video in Batman v Superman, he's just some guy in a convenience store, I think. So, and there he is, fully suited up. So is that, I mean, how recent must that be? It's got to be surely after Batman v Superman, or the events of then.
Yeah.
I don't know. He just turns up for like 2 seconds, and I was like, oh, it's the Flash.
Yeah.
And he looks like the Red Power Ranger.
I'm excited for him because I really like Ezra Miller, so I'm really excited for the Flash film.
See, I love the TV show, so
see, I don't watch that. I watched like the pilot, and I was bored. So I'm like.
Well, the pilot is rushed to get through the origin so they can tell better stories, you know. So
yeah, it does. It suffers from what I call pilot syndrome.
Yeah.
Where, you know, you're just pelted with so much exposition, and that's it though. Like it's just for the one episode or perhaps two.
Yeah.
So that the world of the TV show is established, and then you can move on and like actually go on to story.
Once they get the pilot out of the way, everything starts getting more complex and more interesting. And I can't see the film doing anything more than a more rushed version of that story.
Yeah.
So
yeah, that's true. And this is something that I actually wanted to touch upon, like the whole wider universe thing, and how, you know, like. Well, both studios are kind of like not utilizing the TV aspect of things to the full extent. Marvel is doing a little bit better because at least like the Netflix stuff is kind of assumed to be taking place in the same kind of universe, and they also kind of tell you roughly timeline-wise, like where should you place this.
Yeah, although it's more that, say, Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. or the Netflix shows, they tie into the films rather than the films tying into them.
Yeah, precisely. With Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D., they actually veered off dangerously away because, like, Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. had this like premise that was, and like we're talking about Marvel now.
Yeah. It all comes back to Marvel.
It does. Like, yeah, like Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. was following the premise that they were going to have an Inhumans movie. And so they were setting that side of things up, which I thought was going to tie in really well with Civil War. But then they made Civil War into this other thing entirely. And then actually outwardly went, oh yeah, we're not really paying attention to what they're doing on Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. We don't really care.
Yeah.
And it's like, excuse me, isn't that supposed to be like a shared universe? Why are you not paying attention? So that's like something that I feel quite strongly about, because I actually really like Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D.
I like it too.
Yeah, like I'm just so sad that they're not really paying attention to it, because it's a really good show.
Yeah, and they're doing, they did an entire episode on the aftermath of Civil War and how that ties into what they're up to.
Yeah.
But yeah, you'll probably never see Fitz and Simmons in an Avengers film.
No. Oh man, and like they could have
as much as I'd like to.
Oh man, yeah, I know. It hurts me. But anyway, no. Going back to DC stuff, because that's what we're talking about on this podcast.
Yeah, they've done it. They've done it differently. They've gone like two separate universes? Is the TV stuff all connected, or is it not? Well, sort of. Really nerdy stuff here, but Flash and Arrow and Legends of Tomorrow are all set on Earth 1, so to speak. The Flash crosses over into Earth 2 quite a bit, but they're all set on the same universe. And then you've got Supergirl, who's in her own universe.
Oh.
But she has crossed over with the Flash has crossed over with her.
Okay.
So she is part of it, but it's established she's in another universe, which may or may not combine at some point. They will definitely do crossovers, but whether they just have some universe-altering event that combines them or not is up for grabs. But anyway, all they have to do is come up with an easy way for her to go back and forth, and it'll be fine. So you've got that, and then the films are their own thing.
Right.
And
and that's not like Earth 3 or something like that.
Well, I suppose it will be. It'll be, well, judging by what they've introduced so far, it'll be like Earth 5 or something like that. Yeah, so you've got Earth 1, 2, and 3 in the Flash, Earth 4 for Supergirl, so Earth 5 for the TV universe, the film universe, and that itself will probably do a multiverse story at some point, so yeah, it's all big and weird, but it also means that the TV shows can exist in the same continuity as the films. They would just have to,
interesting.
They would just have to move universes in order to do it. So you could have Ezra Miller's Flash meet Grant Gustin's Flash and so on.
Okay, right.
I don't know if that'll ever happen. I would like to see that. But it would...
See, okay, because I wasn't really aware of that because I don't watch any of the DC shows.
I heartily recommend them. Just get through the pilots. And then,
See, I tried with the Flash pilot, but I was just like rolling my eyes through all of it. And so it was like, I can't. And so I gave up. But I also watched it during a flight, like on a plane. So I wasn't really I was sleepy. So, possibly we'll give this another go.
Second episode I would say it's better than the first one because it starts to delve deeper into what they're trying to do. And then you get the hints of the enduring mystery in the first episode, where Harrison Wells walks into his secret room and looks at a future newspaper. That's a big thread throughout the entire first season.
Yeah.
So, they do some crazy stuff with alternate universes and time travel. And
okay, so that's interesting because I was under the impression that they were kept separate because they couldn't be bothered. But if it's kind of done like that on purpose, and there is already kind of an established multiverse sort of reality within the DC stuff, then that's fine, and I could see them doing all right with this if they finally get their together, because there's something about the DC, especially the cinematic stuff, that just isn't working.
Yeah.
And, I don't know, none of these films so far have gelled for me. None of them really establish a world that is kind of cohesive enough that I can believe that this is all kind of happening here. Even BVS is completely a different aesthetic to Man of Steel. And so, I don't know. And then Suicide Squad is so colorful and kind of wacky, and everybody has weird abilities. And so next to that, Batman v Superman is what? And then, so I'm just not, it just doesn't feel like a world yet.
Yeah,
but they are desperately trying to make it one.
Yeah, I've always found that the DC universe is a bit larger than life anyway. They started out by making superhero comics where, you know, you've got an alien who occasionally dresses like a reporter. Whereas Marvel, they always flipped it. You've got, say, for Spider-Man, he's a teenager who occasionally goes out in a form-fitting outfit and fights crime, you know, under the guise of Spider-Man. But it's more about his civilian identity and the problems he has adapting both. So DC has always been, I suppose their heroes have always been a bit more godlike. And that certainly comes across, you know, when the Flash enters a room in the films, there's lightning striking everywhere. So you have to wonder, is this guy even safe to be around? So that makes them terrifying in a way. In the TV show, all he does is kind of move paper around when he enters a room. he runs in, there's a gust of wind and someone's notes are all over the place. Which, and it works for the TV thing, but the TV universe earned its build because you started off with Arrow and there was no plans to spin that off at any point. But once it got really popular during season 2, they decided they would introduce Barry Allen in 2 episodes. But he was just Barry Allen. He wasn't the Flash. He was just there as a CSI. And then he disappears and gets powers and then gets his own show. So they earned it. You know, they made a successful show and then they started spinning it off into other things that also work in that world. Which is not what the films are doing.
Yeah.
They're assuming that we're already invested in this world because we've gotten invested in another cinematic superhero universe. But that took time for a lot of people. Yeah.
I mean, what really worked for Marvel was that they took things slow.
Yeah.
And they took gambles as well, like casting RDJ like right out of jail, right after his drug scandal and everything. Not really sure that this was going to pay off, but it did in a really big way.
Yeah.
And then again with Guardians of the Galaxy, that was a big gamble, but again, it paid off in a really big way.
Yeah.
But also their stories are kind of like more consistent and cohesive. Like they make sense. That, you know, I don't think that there was a single Marvel film that didn't make sense. That was like, you know, like where so much was happening that nothing was happening. Like I never felt that.
Yeah. Well, the thing about, say, the first Iron Man film is it is a film. It's, you know, it stands on its own merits, and then you get the post-credit scene that if the whole thing had failed, then it would have just been this fun little nod to something that never happened. And then I think a lot of the Phase 1 films were more geared towards setting up the Avengers, so there's quite a lot of time spent in Iron Man 2 where they're just talking about other things that are going on, for instance. Yeah. And I would say Man of Steel is a film.
Yeah. It was.
It's its own thing. And there's one reference to Bruce Wayne in it, and that's it. But then Batman v Superman, it's like, okay, this worked. Now let's speed this up. And then they sped it up, and you introduce half the Justice League in one film.
Yep.
With loads of other stuff. And then Suicide Squad's even worse. It's introducing a lot of the iconic villains without properly doing
their
anything.
Heroes.
Yeah.
Like to have Captain Boomerang without knowing like what world he comes from and what his purpose is, except, you know, I mean, I really enjoyed the whole bit with him having a pink unicorn in his pocket, like for no discernible reason.
Yeah.
That was funny. But yeah. Overall, I don't think that it works. And I mean, like they keep making money, but for how much longer?
Yeah. One of the biggest questions I had in the film, actually, is they started off, you know, Amanda Waller turns up and says, I want to recruit Deadshot, Harley Quinn, etc., etc., and she talks about how metahumans are a threat, so you need metahumans to fight them. Fair enough, but there are no metahumans in that group. Well, there's one, but, you know. So her plan is that, but why isn't she asking Batman or The Flash or Wonder Woman rather than these people that are definitely going to betray her?
Yep.
I mean, I'm sure Batman is just as expendable to her as Deadshot is.
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely.
That was the question I had throughout, and I'm surprised.
Maybe because he's rich, I guess.
If one of the other characters had asked that question, at least one of the the military people had said, why aren't we bringing in the people that brought these people down? But no one asks, and it's just this accepted, okay, we need a group of criminals because this film's called Suicide Squad, rather than...
Precisely, yes.
I mean, you could have had Amanda Waller say, I already asked Batman, he told me to piss off. And, you know, I can't get the Flash in one place for too long to ask him, or something like that.
Yeah.
But they just kind of hand-waved it away.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
Missed opportunities.
Yes.
The movie.
Yes. I will never watch it again.
No, I don't think so.
And I think my DC Blu-ray collection is always going to have a gap.
Yeah.
Unless it's for £5 or something.
Yeah, maybe. Yeah, I'm gonna listen to the soundtrack. I think that's what I'm gonna take away from this. Essentially, yeah, none of it really sticks to mind. It's not anything to write home about. And you know, like I would say, like if we were rating this out of like stars, it's probably a 1-star film. Like it's just not. Yeah.
Well, I gave it 2 out of 10.
Just no. 2 out of 10. Yeah, well so that's basically 1 out of 5. So yeah. So basically we're on the same track here.
Yeah.
Which is interesting. Because you're more of a DC fan and I'm kind of, you know, coming in blind.
Yeah.
And it's interesting to see that we have a similar reaction to this.
Well, I saw apparently some critics were saying in their reviews, I didn't actually see any of these, but apparently some people were saying that if you read the comics before going in, then it will make a lot more sense. If I have to do homework before watching any film,
exactly,
it hasn't worked. They tried that nonsense with the recent Star Trek films.
Yeah.
Certainly the first 2, it's like, don't worry about the villain's backstory, it's covered in a prequel comic. I'm not going to read that.
No, it should make sense within the film, and for Star Trek, I think it did. You know, like they did establish.
It was weak, but it was there.
It was there. Yeah. It was there. So, you know, like I'm okay with that while I'm watching the film. But for this, I absolutely agree. We shouldn't have to do any homework. This is something that I feel very strongly about, especially in the superhero genre, because there's a lot of spin-offs and there's a lot of like new stuff that's come through, the films and the extended universes. I shouldn't have to, for instance, watch any of the TV series for the films to make sense.
Yeah.
Or read any comics or anything like that, any prequel like thingies. Like, no. The film itself should do its own work. And then if there's any other stuff sort of as bonuses, then those who want to get more into it can. But it shouldn't detract from the enjoyment of like the original piece.
Yeah, if they do it right, then the chances of the chances of understanding little nods are there for the fans, or people that know, you know, people like me that have read this stuff and will enjoy the little wink and nod to something. But if it's actively needs to be read before you sit down, then it's not doing its job. That's something that the TV stuff do very well. They make little references to stuff here and there, and for me, I sit there and chuckle. But for other viewers, who don't understand the material, it's just a line.
Yeah.
You know,
it's just a line that passes, and that's fine, and that's okay. You know, not everybody will get the same enjoyment out of something, and I think that that's very important because, like, for me, coming in to both Marvel and DC actually without much like prior knowledge, like it's very important to me that I can make sense out of this story as a fresh viewer. Rather than like a pre-existing fan. Yeah. And there's a lot of talk recently about like making films for a specific audience and kind of pandering to them, if you will. And I don't believe in that. I don't think that that's a good strategy. Because if you want to do that, don't then market it as a mainstream kind of, this is a movie for everybody sort of thing. Because if you make it so that only the hardcore fans will understand, like, for instance, Warcraft was like that. Like, people who play the games were, like, in awe because it was everything that they knew from the games, but in a movie. And that's great. But for me, coming into it not having played the games, none of it made any sense.
Yeah, I was able to more or less follow it, but there was a lot of digressions where they went somewhere for some reason, and it was only so they could show this particular wizard.
Exactly, or like characters who had like one throwaway line and like that was supposed to mean something, but I was just like, huh?
Yeah.
So like there's a lot of that going on at the moment, because obviously they're trying to break into new markets and try to get, more people to come see these movies so they can make more money. I think the line is very thin when it comes to these things. Nobody's doing it 100% right yet.
Yeah.
Marvel are doing quite well. The Star Trek films, to me, again, work very well. The DC films have not drawn me in yet. And I was actually really hoping that Suicide Squad would do that.
Yeah, I didn't want to be one of those, in inverted commas, critics who, was going to hate on this. I'd actually really wanted to like this. Mostly because I don't want to spend 2 hours of my day sitting watching something that I'm not going to enjoy.
Yeah.
I'm not that self-defeating.
No, absolutely.
But I really wanted to like it because I wanted it to be good so that people wouldn't accuse me of that. And I actually did get accused of being a Marvel fanboy and a DC hater on Twitter last week.
Of course.
And I just had to give the guy the link to my Batman v Superman review where I gave it 8 out of 10. And then the link to all my TV reviews of the DC shows that I watch.
Yeah.
So, I'm not a Marvel, well, I'm a Marvel fanboy, but I'm also a DC fanboy. If they made, I've been happy with their output so far except for this one. This is the only one I haven't liked. So, I'm sure Justice League will be fine because it's going to focus on characters that I quite like. And not that I don't like these characters, I just don't think they were very well used.
Yeah, but, fingers crossed that they use the characters in Justice League better.
Yeah.
I will, tentatively be excited about it, but, based on the 3 films that the DCU has, kind of given us so far, I am not very sure that they can do that. If they surprise me positively, then hurrah, like I freaking love superhero movies, like if Justice League makes me like it, then amazing. But
Wonder Woman might do that before.
Perhaps. Oh yeah, that's true, because that's coming out is that next summer?
June, I think. Yeah.
June, yeah. Very excited about that.
Justice League's a month later, maybe. I'm not sure. It happens to be quite a light year for Marvel in terms of their big films as well, so it's a good year for DC to sneak in.
Yeah.
Because they've got things like, they've got Thor 3, and they've got Spider-Man, and they've got Guardians 2.
Yeah.
Which...
Oh, it's pretty, that's going to be pretty big. That's going to be pretty big.
Yeah, but it won't be as big as, say, Civil War or the Avengers, I wouldn't think, so... The fact that they're not releasing the same summer as something like that is probably going to help them in that sense. But, I don't want to use the term superhero fatigue, but I imagine people pick their battles.
Well, it's kind of happening already, superhero fatigue, in the sense that, because there's a lot offered. And so we now have a lot of choice. And I think it's important to talk about whether, if these stories are used in a good way, if they are, good stories, if they are entertaining or, like a good time, essentially.
Yeah.
Or if it's, a waste of 2 hours. Because, if I'm going to waste 2 hours of my life watching Suicide Squad, I could also be watching, I don't even know, Ant-Man. That was more fun than Suicide Squad. I'd watch Ant-Man again right now.
Yeah.
But I probably will never watch Suicide Squad again.
Yeah.
And so, that has a lot to say about,
Yeah. And you've got 3 major superhero universes on the big screen at the moment. You've got the Marvel, you've got DC, and you've got the Fox universe, which currently only consists of X-Men films.
Yeah, of course.
And Fantastic Four, but I think they're trying to wipe that from existing. But so, I think most people will maybe just pick one, and I think that's ultimately why X-Men failed this year, because it came out a month after Civil War, and by that time people were kind of fed up.
Yeah, it was just there's so much. We had Batman v Superman first, then Civil War, then X-Men. Just so much was happening this summer, this spring. Yeah, like, there you go. So that's exactly what I mean, you know? Like, if you're gonna spend 2 hours of your life watching, say, X-Men, which actually was fine.
I didn't like this X-Men film.
It was, I thought it was decent, maybe because I went in fully prepared to hate it. And so it kind of, like, it did better than that.
I was fully prepared to like it. But that's a separate issue. But
yes, it is. A time, something for another podcast, perhaps.
And I think people are going to spend their money as well, you know, because I've got an unlimited card for Cineworld, so I go as many times as I want. But a lot of people, when they go out, it's to the cinema, it's what, I don't know, £11 for a ticket, and they spend another fortune on sweets and you know.
Actually, in London, I'll have you know, there's a cinema that charges £30 for one ticket for an IMAX 3D screening of Star Trek.
Yikes!
£30, I was told recently. I'm like, whoa! How are people expected to make, like, you can't spend £30 even weekly, not even monthly. Like, you know, like, you gotta pick your movie. So how are you gonna, like, if there's all these big releases coming out, like, you gotta at least make good movies, man. Like, if your movie is good, then, you know, people can justify spending £30 on it, you know? Yeah,
it's a bit iffy. So, watching films is expensive. Or people just wait for the DVD as well, I suppose.
Yeah, I've done that a lot this year, because there's been a lot that came out kind of at the same time.
Yeah.
There's only so much time in the day.
Yeah, I've skipped a few things.
Yeah. Well, this was fun, though.
Yeah, I think we've beaten this film to death.
Oh, yeah. With a baseball bat.
Yeah, with a baseball bat or mallet or whatever she's holding in that scene.
Both the things. We've beaten it, yes.
But yeah, that's probably the longest time I'll spend talking about Suicide Squad forever.
There, we got everything out.
It's out my system.
So that's done, yeah. Well, we never have to talk about it again.
No, we do not. And I hope you'll come back for a future podcast.
Absolutely. This was really fun.
Yeah, it's great fun. So I guess we'll just sign off, and hopefully people will enjoy what they heard today.
Hope so. Yeah, you can find me on Twitter at Kourkat, Kourkat, or just look for Kat Kerbetti, which is my name. And I'll look forward to another podcast in the future.
Yeah, this will all be on the show notes as well, so don't worry about remembering it.
Fab.
Cool. So, goodbye for now.
Bye.
So, that was our discussion on Suicide Squad. If you enjoyed that, then please hit the subscribe button on iTunes or any major podcasting app and tune in to the next instalment of Kneel Before Pod.